Hello everybody. I'm back. um, I've been trying to start this video. This is the fourth time I try, but one of the times I was so excited speaking in Spanish and I forgot that I'm supposed to speak English, right? So I had to stop it and start all over again. So anyway, there is a lot of distractions. Um, Spirit has been telling me, to come back. It's time to come out and pass the messages. And I was enjoying my time chilling and just, being in my normal state that is, isolated, just being me. But spirit says it's time to come back. So here I am. I'm back. I hope everybody is okay. I hope you guys are doing great. Ooh. And also, thank you all of you for watching me, for um, visiting my pages, my channel, liking my content. Thank you. I really appreciate you, and God bless your family, you and your family, of course. And yeah, thank you for being here. All my content and everything that I do it from my heart. I do it with the best intention, that is sharing my testimony, and for whoever resonates with, for whatever um, you know situation that maybe needs to be clarified, right? Because there's a lot of people that go through this stuff that I talk about, and they never say nothing because they're scared of people say that they're crazy, they're evil, or they're losing their mind because they see things that others don't, or they cannot comprehend or even accept that exist, right? So a lot of people just um, keep it to themselves, and that's one of the reasons why a lot of people can't heal, because they don't speak about it. They don't look for help. They don't mention things, so they never find answers, right, or information. So they get stuck. They don't heal. That's one of the things that I've been finding on my journey. Speaking about it is actually better than keep it to yourself. um, Even if you don't want to speak with somebody, but speak it to the universe, speak it to your guys, to God, right? Give it to God, release it to God. um, that's always gonna help you, to release whatever is worrying you or making you sad, or getting you stuck, mentally stuck. So it's always good to speak about you know whatever you are struggling with. And I used to be a person that keep everything for to myself, never say nothing, and hide everything, um, because I mean I went through a lot of stages, and some stages were because I guess fear, to be judged, to be criticized, to be scolded, um, on um, sometimes because I was embarrassed, to even mention things, that happened to me, or situations that I want help with, you know. I feel embarrassed for not knowing, or because the situation was embarrassed itself, right? So for years and years, I always keep quiet everything until one day I just couldn't do it no more, and I start speaking my truth, and sharing with everybody, exposing things and sharing with everybody the things that I was going through, right? Always with the best intention to help, to be an example, to be a testimony for those in need, right? But anyway, so yeah, I've been really just being myself, working, and doing my normal stuff, and just take it easy, like sleeping, resting, meditating, just being me. But yeah, it's time to show. Anyway, so yeah, there is something that has been on my mind for a while now, and I actually been talking about it with a friend, like multiple times. We've been talking about this subject. It's something that I heard before from others, you know, channelers or even tarot readers, about how when you raise your vibration, right, and you're in a relationship, um, if your partner, stay stuck in the same frequency as you go up, um, they becoming like a mismatch to your frequency now, and the relationship basically um, fall, right, break, or it's not the same. In some cases it's not because the love is not there, it's just because it's different frequency, you are mismatched, and there's not the things in common are not there no more, right? Because as you go to a spiritual journey and awakening and all this stuff, these things, you start um, learning new stuff, you start changing your perspective, you start viewing life, relationships, and everything else in a different way that you used to. So um, you discover that the things that you have in common with your partner, they're not there, anymore. And you outgrow your partner, your friend, your relative, your family member, whatever people is around you. You start switching your mentality, everything. You start having different ideas, being viewing the world with a different eyes, and understanding things that in more mature way, a more universal way. So most of the cases, um, relationships, you know, break because of that. When you start your spiritual journey, we lost a lot of people. A lot of people, get left behind. And it's not because we don't love them or because we don't want them with us. It's just like the path that you are taking is no longer a match with the path that they're still on, if that makes sense. So, talking with my friend, I was telling him, like, one of the things that I discovered, you know, because everything that I heard on the spiritual community and my own experiences, um, I realized that that's exactly what happened with my ex partners. Not just the toxicity and everything that went down with the relationships, but also the way of thinking. My expectations were way different once I started awakening, and I was still in a marriage. When I started awakening, was um I was still married. So um ah, sorry. So anyway, so one of the things that I noticed was that I discovered I want to know more. I was always trying to be more, and I meant in a spiritual level, to know more about everything, life, God, energies, and all these things. Like, it was in me already, so I couldn't just hide it or dismiss it, avoid it, ignore it. I couldn't. I tried, to ignore my witchy side or my psychic abilities, whatever you want to call it, because my family, thought that that was like evil thing, and then a lot of people don't see it in the right, you know, um, way. Everybody misjudge and criticize people that is into metaphysical stuff, spiritual things, and we are always persecuted and misjudged and things like that most of the time. So I try to just ignore that side of me, and then my ex obviously criticized me because of that. So but inside of me I have this urge, this it was my nature to learn more, to experience, to get more information and get to the bottom of everything that I was feeling all my life, right? So I start like thinking about obviously my relationship and my life and everything, things that I like, mistakes and things like that, and good stuff, and comparing. And I noticed that as I was checking all these things, I was growing mentally. I was getting, or going through, I guess, my first dark night of the soul. I remember crying too much, like a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, the day that I decided that I needed to separate from my ex. Um, because the more I thought about it, what we had, what we were, and the identity that I used to have, from the person that I used to be, you know, all my life. And then when I met him through our marriage, 20 years together and all that, um, I noticed that I wasn't the same person. I noticed that I went through a lot of stuff with him and in the past. And all this stuff brought me to a dark night of the soul, to start paying attention on all these things and look for a meaning of all this pain, look for a meaning in all these things that happen, right? And look to find the positive in it, a lesson, and things like that. So as I was doing all these things, I noticed that I was, growing, getting mature. My mind, my thoughts, everything was changing, and the things that I wanted to do wasn't a match to the things that he likes to do. I noticed that I want to be more and more isolated. I want to be with myself and all these things, and he, of course, like I guess a normal man would think, I was always thinking that probably I was with somebody else, or I was wanting to be alone, to talk with somebody else and things like that, because in the past shit went down, and we had a lot of problems. But I was actually going through my spiritual awakening. I was looking for isolation always, and I just didn't want to be around nobody, including him, right? And everything, every time I think about him, and me, comparing with what we were together before and what we were right there, I saw him in the same place, almost like I met him, mentally, spiritually. And I didn't see that he was growing, if that makes sense. um it wasn't something that was matching with my ideas of what I wanted for the future, for my future, and of course my kids, because whatever you become when you have kids, whatever you become, that's going to influence your kids, in the long run. So you have to think about what you're going to be, where you want to be, how you want to show to the world, how you want to show for your kids, for your family, right? Because all that is going to influence your kids' life, right? So I noticed that, you know, working all day long overtime and then just wait for the weekend to buy alcohol and if you're lucky, you know, have a party with your friends, hang out with your friends or families and drink and take the kids to eat, and then, you know, Monday and it's the same routine again. You know, it was not fulfilling for me no more. That was not my idea of being a family no more, right? And my way of thinking was always more um, open and mature compared with him. Now, I'm not saying all this to, you know, to throw shade uh, to him, you know. Like I always say, everybody is co-creating their own reality. Everybody experience what they want to experience until they're done with it, right? And then you try to do something else because you get tired. A lot of people don't get tired, and I mean, um, there's a lot of people that are in relationships and they, you know, break up and get another relationship, right? It doesn't work and then they jump to another relationship, right? And their whole life is like that, right? Now, to me that is correct, because if you want to keep repeating the same experience, if that's what you want to experience, it's always gonna be okay, because that is your experience, your human experience, right? One day maybe you're gonna get tired and stop the loop of being, you know, breaking up and getting new partnership, and you know, instead of just healing, you know, you give a pause, give time for yourself, self-love, and go through all this journey of healing, you know, from one relationship to get ready for another one in the future, and, you know, pour all this attention and love to yourself. People jump from relationship to relationship, they don't heal, right? Sometimes they don't jump to relationship to another relationship, but they don't heal neither, right? Because they don't take that time to heal. A lot of people don't want to heal. The journey of healing is scary because nobody wants to face, you know, themselves. Because when you want to heal, you have to check yourself. You have to be accountable, right? It's part of the healing process. You're never gonna heal if you're not accountable of your own actions, or if you know, if you don't forgive yourself as well. You know, it's a process. So uh, as I want to heal, and I want to, you know, try new things, you know, go back to my psychic side and all these things, he was happy to the way he was living, you know. And I mean, maybe not happy, but he was okay with it, let's say, okay? Because I know a lot of people is not happy with their life, but they keep, you know, living the same cycle because they don't know better. They don't know how to stop it. They don't know how to jump, you know, from the wheel. You know, they just keep going, even though they're not happy, right? Sometimes you just live your life not because you're happy, but because you don't know what to do, right? Or how to do it to get free, basically, right? So, and like I say, it's correct. We all having a human experience, and whatever you wanna experience is okay. That's on you. Of course, there's consequences of your actions. Of course, there's bad karma. Of course, there's always, you know, cause and effect. It comes with it. You cannot, you know, behave or do something without consequences, either good or bad, right? That is something that we cannot avoid. But still, we have free will, right? And that means we go through the emotions and we go through all the things that we want to experience until we say it's enough. Until one day we say, you know what, this life, I don't want it no more. I'm tired of this shit. I want to try something else. I want to change my route. I want to change my reality. I want to be something else. I want to be myself, and stop um, being codependent or being people pleasing, right? I want to be myself. I want to live my own life, right? And I'm going to do what I need to do, regardless who is judging me, regardless who is criticizing me, and regardless who's with me and who's not, because we lost people in our journey. And it's normal, it happens to all of us. Because once you start your awakening, you start noticing who is for you and who's not, who is fake and who is real. And that's why we lose a lot of people, because we have a lot of people around us that are fake or are just for convenience, okay? But they're no genuine, they're no authentic. They're just there because, right? So when you start awakening, you start noticing that who are real, who is really, have you back, who love you unconditionally, right? And these things we discover until we start separating ourselves and putting boundaries, healthy boundaries, is when we start recognizing the people that are true, right? And who we need to let them go, basically, right? So yeah, so he, most of the time, this friend always asks me, he don't understand why um, I'm single still, right? Why I don't dating, going to parties and things like that. People don't understand how I am celibate for so long and things like that. And I told him, look, I've been married for so long. I've been, on this journey now for so long, and growing so much, that the person that is for me, it has to be the whole package, basically, right? Because I put so much work on myself. For me to just go and intertwine my fluids and my sexual energy with just anyone, if that makes sense, because all this time that I am being celibate, like a lot of you guys, right, in the spiritual community, you use this time to be cleansing your energy, to be, growing, evolving, and, doing your spiritual work and all these things. So your physical body also, cleanses, and get, detox from all these other energies that you was intertwining with, it doesn't matter if it was your ex-husband, your ex-boyfriend, or just lovers. It doesn't matter, it's the same shit. You need to cleanse your energy from all these other energies, right, that are now low vibrational, and obviously you're not gonna carry all this to your next relationship, right? So you need to, it's like fasting. When you fast, your body heals itself, and recovers and rejuvenates and all these things. It's not just for spiritual purposes, but also for healthy purposes. And being celibate is like fasting, right? But in a sexual way. So you cleanse, you cleanse all these energies that you was with in the past. And as you purify your energy from everything, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you prepare yourself for a high level of commitment, for a soulmate that is going to be a high level. It's not going to be the same toxic, the same drama, the same, it's going to be somebody that is in your same frequency, that has your same goals, right? And sometimes even your way of thinking, right? So that's how you attract, right? Because I told my friend, when I was young, I was very naive, and I always notice, how men look at me and how men desire me and how men always try to be with me and things like that. And as a woman, younger woman, you feel like that's cool, like that's, wow, men are always behind you, just looking for opportunity with you and things like that. But after being married and all these things, and growing up, I really don't think that is exactly the image that I want to give away. Like, I'm just what you see. So for me, in order that a man, that matches what I'm looking for, I have to become that, right? If I want respect, if I want a man that sees me in other way that sexual, and I had to show, in that way. I had to show everything else that I have, not just my beauty or my physical image, but also, um, if I'm smart, what I am about, right? My spirituality, right? My communication with God, my morals, right? What kind of person, the human I am, right? Um, how I navigate life, how I take decisions, how I heal, and do a lot of this stuff. So as long as I stay, in a low vibration, I'll just, drinking, partying, having just a normal life, right? Having boyfriends or my husband or whatever, men, this is what I was thinking, men will always see me the same way. And they always will, disrespect me. Because most of the people tend to see me as a gullible person, naive, stupid. They think that I don't see things because I'm a chill vibe. I don't really. I'm not always say what I know, and I'm not always um I'm not gonna be on your ass. I'm just gonna disappear, walk away basically, because I am not a person that I like to. Um, I don't like drama. Okay, I have bad temperament. I always say this. I will face a fight, an argument, but I always rather not, because I don't like to waste time with things like that. I don't, you know. If you're not the person that I need in my life, I'm just gonna walk away. If you keep being you, you do you, right? So people think that because I don't say nothing, I am stupid, or I'm gullible, or they can play with me, and I let them. I love I love to see how people think they can deceive me and play with me. I let them. I play along because it's funny. It's funny to see how people um, think they're more smart than you, right? But my point is, because most of my life, in my younger years, men always see me like that, like something sexual, like something funny, like little girl, stupid girl, that you can do whatever you want to her, and blah blah blah. Um, I wanted to be me. I wanted to show my true self. I want to be my authentic, my genuine self. So the world could see that I am more than what you see. What you see is just like the fucking wrap, right, of a candy, but inside is way more than that, right? And so I discovered, if I stay in this frequency, if I stay in this reality, that is, just being married with a man that obviously I didn't have no more. We were matched no more. We have a lot of problems, toxicity, drama, etc., 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 from the past, and it was. I already knew that we could heal the relationship, right? But I didn't want to stay just like that, just like a mom that will, work and come back and take care of the kids, and do the same thing over and over again. I wanted more like that, because I thought, for a woman that is beautiful but is also intelligent, that also can offer something valuable or positive to the world, to stop the world to see her as a sexual thing, the woman had to show in a different way, right? And I'm not saying, stop using makeup and dress like a man or dress like a little kid or no, 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 no. No. We still can dress like we are, right? But we can, with our actions, show that we are more than that, right? We have a good image, but we have more to offer, right? But we have to show like that. We have to stop being in fear, right? We need to show who we truly are, all the things that we're capable of, that we're not just a show, we're more than that. So that's why I start also to be very committed to my healing journey, my self-love journey, because I knew that if I go through this process, right, I will get to a point with whatever is matched, energetically speaking, with me, will show in the future, and it will be fulfilling, right? Because the man that I want to attract, right, it has to be a man that is going to be my match, emotionally, spiritually, like I always say, um, physically, of course, it has to be a good chemistry, and a lot of stuff. It has to be, like I said, the whole package. So in order for a couple to succeed in a relationship, to succeed in a marriage, it has to be a constant match. Your partner has to be willing to grow with you, right? To grow with you spiritually, emotionally, physically, in all ways. Okay. For you to be successful in that relationship, when one or the other, stays in that frequency, as you keep ascending and you keep growing and you keep evolving and all these things, a lot of our partners don't want to grow, right? Because it's more comfortable there, right? It's more comfortable, the drama, the codependency, the people pleasing, the complaining, it's more comfortable for a human to stay asleep and deny the things that are happening and just, complain, right? Oh, for me, nobody loves me, they abandoned me, wah, wah, wah. No. Most of the partners don't want to grow with us. It's very hard. When you start this journey, it's very hard to find your match, right? Because not everybody has the same aspirations that you have when you are on a spiritual journey. And like I say, we left behind a lot of people. So I was trying to explain this to my friend, and I've been trying to explain it to him in so many ways, and because I get it. For a lot of people, it's hard to understand how a woman like me is still single, right? And why I just don't go outside and date other men and things like that. And I like, well, to be honest with you, I need to find a person that is gonna be matching my intellect, my morals, my energy, you know, way, shape, and form. Not just sex, right? Or have some things in common, right? It has to be more than that. Because the person that I am, the journey that I took, and the life that I am living, the reality I'm co-creating with the universe, right? I cannot just get with a person that, the reality is the 3D based, right? I need a person that is also in the spiritual realm, a person that understands my spiritual battles, that understand my isolation, that understand meditation, that understand communication with God, that actually believes and knows God, right? Or is willing to grow, right? Because sometimes when you find your partner, your soulmate, your divine counterpart, one or the other is always like more spiritually advanced, let's say. And the thing about divine partners is how you know that it's really because they are willing to grow, or they are already there, maybe a little bit more or a little bit less than you know, in the same level, but they are already working on that. They already went to the dark night of the soul. They already know what is going on. They already know and met God, meet God and all these things. Some are in the way, but they are willing to grow because they are meant to awaken. They are meant to be a divine partner, right? So that's how you know when your partner is gonna be with you and is a good match for you, because they're willing to grow, or they already grew enough, or they are growing, or they're willing to help you grow, because sometimes your partner is the one that is more advanced or in a higher level of understanding, let's say. So, and that's why I told him, that's why I don't go back to my exes, because the reason why I left in the first place is because our frequencies were mismatching. I outgrow them enough. So I look and they're still where I left them, right? And it's okay. I mean, it's their lives. It's their reality. I don't judge. I'm just saying they still where I left them. I'm not going backwards, right? I'm not gonna, all the work that I already did on myself, I'm not gonna trash that just to go back to a person that is in the same spot where you left them. Sometimes even worse, right? Because they don't want to grow, right? Because they're not ready. Simple as that. They're not ready to grow. They're not ready to accept the challenge. They're not ready to stop the fear, right? So I really think that if the more people understand these things, how important is the frequency, the vibration, to keep you high vibration and all these things, and read, the energy, and understand other people, right? And I think relationship will last more and be more genuine and authentic, versus mismatching frequencies, mismatching energies, and trying to make work something that just can't, is something that most of us, I think, we make the mistake to, instead of walk away from the relationship, we stay, right? And we try to put ourselves in the same level as our partners, in order for us to have a happy home, right? A happy home, a happy relationship. When we don't see the other trying to grow, right? What we do is we lower ourselves, right? We are people pleasing, right? We try just to be in peace, in harmony with our homes and things like that. And then we don't grow, right? And what happens when you are already awakening, but you keep yourself stuck, you become bitter, you feel trapped, you feel like you need to go, like your spirit is like, I need to go, I need to move away from here, right? Because how you gonna do that when you are ready start your awakening, when you are start growing, and then you go back, right, to that frequency that is lower frequency, because you love him, you love her, or you have kids, or whatever habit, whatever you want to call it, to keep the peace. It's because we've been married for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, and but that there's a mismatch, that you don't feel the same, that it's something there that is not the same, even though you don't understand, even though you feel like their love is still there. But the energy, it doesn't feel the same, you know. And like I say, it's not lack of love, it's just like you start separating energetically from these people, from they start in the same reality, and you start changing your way of thinking, and everything start changing, so it's a mismatch. And sometimes we don't understand, sometimes it takes us years to see what it was, so we stay there even though we're uncomfortable, we are bitter, we are, falling apart, we don't even have sex with our partners, right, and things like that, because we don't feel that, you know that pull that we felt at first. But what happened is that when you met that person, you was at the same level, right? That's why you was with this person in the first place, because you was a match for that frequency. But when you start awakening and all these things, you can no longer feel the same things. That person doesn't feel like home no more. And I know it sounds sad, but it is what it is. And the thing is, because we're supposed to grow together, right? We're supposed to have the same goal, um, the same frequency, the same energy, right? In order for us to keep, a marriage, right? Because there's no other way. I'm telling you, you may try and try and try and waste a lot of years trying, until one day you have to accept it. There's nothing else that it can be done there, because you're not the same. They're still the same, but you're not. You want to grow. You have a different perspective. Maybe something happens to you, and that makes you change your way of thinking, right? Maybe a tragedy happens, and you become closer to God, right? And you change, right? Maybe you become more close to God now, and your partner is still whatever he is, right? Or she is. So it's hard to keep a relationship when these things happen. So the thing is knowing when to walk away, knowing when to stop, fighting for something that the other person don't even want it, because the person that want to be with you is gonna be with you, and if they have to grow, they will grow with you. Okay, period. It is what it is. Nobody does something that they don't want to do, right? So in order for you to grow and all these things, you need to actually hold on, sorry. So yeah, um so I was trying to explain all this to my friend, and at the same way, at the same time that I was explaining this to my friend, I was learning too, and listening to myself. I was understanding a lot of stuff, like why a lot of relationships fall apart, right? And it's because the frequency mismatch, is something that we don't know how to explain it. We don't understand it. We just know that something is going on, right? And that things are not the same. And like I say, a lot of us try for years and years and years to find the way back to what you were before, but it's hard. And I'm telling you, it's the only way for you to go back to that where you were at first, is if your partner, right, is willing to grow for himself or herself, not for you, but for themselves and the sake of the relationship, of the family, if you have kids, of course, right? But that is the reason why, I guess, when you go to couples, um, when you go to couples, how you call these things, counseling and all these things, I think it's very important to understand this energy of frequency thing. And it's not just like, okay, well, if you are tired in the night, your husband can help you, to do dishes so you can rest and things like that. That is a superficial things that, let me tell you, I think it's good and it works. When you go to counseling and they tell you, to be flexible, to be, equal give and take, and meet me in the middle, and all these things is correct, right? But there is way more reasons, why relationships, start having problems, right? It's a energetic stuff, an energetic thing. It's not just, it's because, I'm so tired, and he don't help me, or I work too much and she spend a lot of money, or the kids, or the relatives, or the friends, or the house, or the pets, or whatever. It's beyond that. Is what is here is not connected no more, because maybe one is growing and the other one is not, right? Or both of them are very low frequencies, and even though it's not a mismatch, it's a chaos, right? So yeah. And the more I think about this relationship stuff, and the more I analyze my past relationships, the more I understand how these frequency things work, right? And I was telling my friend, like, because he say that, like, if he likes somebody, he's not gonna stop himself from being with somebody, you know because he wants to experience that in that moment and things like that. And I say, well, that's correct too, because that is the experience, that is the thing that you want to experience, that is the reality that you're co-creating right now, right? Like, let's say you want to be a player, or you're a Don Juan, right? It is correct, that's what you're going to experience, right? Until one day you get tired, or something happens, or you just, stay the same. It's everybody's decision, right? Is stay in the path that we are on, or just, change lines, basically, right? It's our decision. We are the ones that co-create our reality with the universe, right? So the moment you decide to stop, the wheel, and jump, you know, jump out and of the wheel, and try something else, for yourself or whatever, is when the reality is gonna start, changing, right? And then you start from there, creating something else. But I've been learning a lot through all these things and all the stuff that has been happening. That we really create a reality. You can be happy with nothing, and you can be miserable with everything. So it's really how we feel. Like, happiness, to me, happiness is an attitude, right? No matter what is going on, if you understand life, if you understand things, if you understand that happiness is not a state that is, always there, like a line. It's not like that. It's an attitude. It's moments, like I always say, little sparks here and there. And you with your attitude, you can be happy no matter what is going on around you, right? Because you are the one that is co-creating this thing, this life of yours. You are the one that decides what is going to affect you, and what is going to, help you grow, right? For example, my kid always says, when I say something and I scold her, for example, and she cries, or she fights with her sister and her sister make her cry, she always say, she make me cry, or you make me cry, or you make me mad, kids. And I always say, no, I didn't make anything, I didn't make nothing. You are who decides to cry, because at the end of the day, even if somebody is scolding you, how many of you, when you were kids, hold the tears and try to be strong, in the middle of a scolding? There are a lot of kids cry, a lot of kids don't. I didn't cry too much. I will cry hiding, maybe under my bed after. But every time, my mom or my dad called me, I wouldn't cry unless, they spanked me or something, but I was always, like trying to be strong, resilient, and even if I will cry, I will always keep my my shit together, basically, right? And and I was telling my kid, I didn't make you cry. You decide to cry because you don't want to understand that you're not gonna get your way, right? So what you do, you cry because you think that if you cry, I'm gonna give you what you want, right? But I'm not making you cry. You crying because you're using it, trying to use it to get your way, right? Now sometimes if you hurt yourself, if you fall, you know, off the bed, or you fall when you're running, things like that. Well, it hurts. Of course, you're gonna cry, right? But even so, nobody's making you cry, right? Because how many of us also, run and fell, and just get up and keep running, right? You hold your tears, right? We decide how to react, how you're gonna react to something, to a word, to a situation, an action. You decide. Now, in my life, in my situation, this has helped me a lot. This way of thinking that nobody can make you do nothing, you decide, is helping me a lot to cope and to overcome a lot. Because at the end of the day, I think it doesn't matter what people say about me. I'm still good, right? I'm still me, right? I still breathe, right? Thanks to God. I'm still alive, thanks to God, right? I still have food on my table, thanks to God. I have a job, right? I have a home where to live, right? So none of that thing really is doing nothing to me. So why I'm gonna bother, to feel any kind of way, or to feel less, or listening to their mockery, or fall for the manipulation, the energy manipulation, the witchcraft, and all these things. The day I discovered that no matter what the people do and say, it has nothing to do with me. Like really, it has nothing to do with me. My life is being so easy and better because you don't listen. You ignore these things. You focus on your own life, on your own career, on your own family, and just dismiss all these things. That's the reality. Like I always say, they want to be play this role of being the villain, and accuse you and talk shit and even try to hurt you, kill you, whatever. That's what they're living. That's what they're experiencing. All this trying, all this talking, all this doing, that's them, right? Like I say in my last video, that's them. Me, I'm good. I'm good. That doesn't, I still shit, I still sleep, I still eat, you know what I'm saying? I'm still smiling, I'm still happy, I'm chilling, So much that spirit has to basically push me to do my job because I was getting comfortable just chilling, right? So that's what I want you to understand. It doesn't matter what is going on around you. You decide how to react. You decide how to take it. You decide what to make out of it, right? Take something positive, extract something positive from it or not, right? So I was going back to my friend about this relationship stuff. I was telling him like that, like, well, you decide your reality, you decide the experiences you want to have, right? And I'm not trying to, make feel nobody less, because all decisions are correct, right? That's what God says. All decisions are correct. The consequences is something that you always have to keep in mind, right? That everything has consequences, but all decisions are correct because it's your human experience. You know what I'm saying? So don't feel afraid to switch, to change, to grow, to be you, to be authentic, to walk away from people, places, and things. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And if your relationship doesn't match anymore, work on yourself and keep going. And if your partner loves you, if your partner wants to grow, it will grow with you. She will grow with you, you know, or you will grow with them, you know. That's 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 a fact, right? So understand that if you have years alone, single or celibate and things like that, don't let nobody rush you to, you know, intertwine your body, your fluids and these things with somebody that you don't want to, just because people is judging you. If you're waiting for the right person, it's okay, and you have all the right to wait for the right person. If you feel that you outgrow your ex-partner, you know, your ex job, your relatives, you know, it's okay and it's correct to walk away and create your own reality the way you want to live, because people will not move if they don't want to move. People cannot be saved if they don't want to be saved, right? People will not grow if they don't want to grow. So why are you going to stop your life for people that want to stop their own, right? They want to stay there. They want to keep experience over and over again the same things, you know. It's correct and it's fine. Just keep going, keep working on yourself, keep giving all that self-love, self-respect, all this growing, getting close to God, and work on yourself. Because at the end, that's exactly what you're gonna find, a match, right? Somebody that match everything, you know, and is willing to grow, right? Or is willing to help you grow, right? But if you fall for the basic, that is, you know, it's because society says, it's because, you know, my parents is you know, pushing me to marry, pushing me to have kids, pushing me to this, pushing me to that. Like, don't forget that this is your life. Don't forget that this is your human experience. You didn't came here to please your parents and pick the career your parents say, or pick the wife or the husband that your parents say, because I mean, it's your life, right? You're gonna live with that person. You're gonna have kids with that person. You're gonna build with that person. So why you gonna pick somebody that your parents want and not what you want, right? Are they gonna marry your person? No, right? So why you will listen to them? I understand that, out of respect, we listen and we accept advices and we are grateful for the advices and we trust the people that supposedly know us and want the best for us, right? But most of the time, um, ooh, most of the time, hold on. Sorry, I turned it off by accident. So yeah, most of the time, the people that they want for you is not what you need or you want. It's what they think is the best for you. It's what they think you need. But most of the time, our relatives or parents and our friends don't really know us, you know, on a soul level like our partner will or would, right? And like I say, you're gonna co-create a family with that person. So why you will listen to somebody else? If it's right for you, if you're happy, they should be happy for you. And if they're not happy, it's okay as well. It's okay. That's them. Don't feel rushed to get in a relationship because what people says or what people think or what people normally do. That's them. You are you. Don't feel rushed neither to break up, you know, with your partner because what people says. You live with a person. You should know this person. You know better. You know why you feel here and here, right? And you know what is here too, the connection. And if there's nothing, then of course it has to be your decision, right? But avoid listening to others to take life decisions. It's your life, it's your reality that you are co-creating, and you're the one that is gonna suffer. You're the one that is gonna be happy. It's your consequences. Whatever happens to you is gonna happen to you or for you. It's not gonna be your family, your friends, your co-workers, your boss. No, you. If you are unhappy in a relationship, just because everybody says that that person is good for you, you're gonna be unhappy. You, for listening and doing what others says is the best for you, right? And a lot of times they guide you to the wrong person because of envy. A lot of times they don't want you to grow. They don't want you to have a better partner that they have. They don't want you to build a better future, than theirs. A lot of people is envious and jealous, and misguide you, and tell you things that are not good for you. But because they know you for a lot of years, they're your family, they're your parents, they're your siblings, they're your relatives, you think they know better. But nobody knows better than you. Nobody knows better than your heart. And in your heart is God. And what God puts there is what you need. You hear? You need. Not what you want, what you need. And that's exactly what we should follow. Our heart. Not the voices. Not the people's expectations or their advices. Because you are the one that is going to go through it. So choose wisely. Don't rush. Be happy, enjoy your life, and don't forget that whatever you decide anyway is correct. As long as it's your decision. You want to go through the thing 5 times if you want, but it's going to be your decision, okay? And when you decide to change, to grow, to elevate, it has to be your decision too. Don't allow other people to come in your ear and misguide you, okay? Because it's your human experience. Don't forget, okay? I hope you like this. Is something I wanted to share with you guys because Spirit's been telling me. This subject's been coming a lot of times, and the way I see and the way I think these things must be good for somebody out there, and maybe to change your point of view or see in a different way. Maybe this is gonna help somebody. So maybe that's why Spirit was urging me to come and share this with you guys. But anyway, I'm happy and glad to be here. Thank you everybody for watching me, everybody that likes me and likes my content. Thank you for being here. I love you guys. I really appreciate you, and God bless you all. Thank you.